day of the ancestor ceremony at the home of the Sague Rodriguez family in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In keeping with the ancient traditions of our Taino ancestors of honoring the memory of the departed loved ones on a date in the late autumn season, we, the members of the Sague Rodriguez family here in Pittsburgh, carry out the sacred Day of the Ancestors ceremony at our home. This ceremony is the one preserved and maintained alive since 1981 by the Kané Indigenous Spiritual Circle. It retains the main elements of the ancient rituals observed by our forebears, rituals that were witnessed by the Spanish conquerors when they arrived in the Caribbean islands in 1492. The altar is prepared, and the semis, sacred sculptures that embody the majesty of important personalities in our belief system, are positioned in the proper places. They honor the presence of the original symbolic ancestor, Father Deminan Caracaracol, who together with the ancestral mother, Turtle Woman, gave rise to the Taino nation and inhabited the islands of the Caribbean. The ceremony begins when the sacred space is smudged and purified with the smoke of a tropical Caribbean resin incense called tabonuco. After the purification, the two most important semi-deity spirits of our tradition, Mother Atabey and Father Yokahu, are honored with songs. The ancient Taino ancestors created a mystical stone sculpture that was discovered by archaeologists in one of our Caribbean islands. This object is a pendant shaped like a vertical cylinder. It features four cylindrical structures that are positioned all around it, pointing to the four directions. It also features a cone that points to the heavens and a flat base that is designed to rest on the surface of the Earth Mother. We image this object at the core of the primordial cave that represents the womb of the Earth Mother, from whence all life emerges and to where all souls return after the life cycle. This symbol represents the omnipresent reality of the place we call Kwaibai, the dwelling place of the souls of departed loved ones. The universal quality of this object, with elements that point in all directions, indicate the fact that the realm of the ancestors is actually everywhere all at once and nowhere in particular. This way we honor the fact that our loved ones are all around us all the time, in spite of the fact that they have already traveled to that far-off realm of Kwaibai. As part of our ceremony, we create a corn husk replica of that object. This structure is called the corn husk Kwaibai, and it amounts to a hollow receptacle. Each participant of the ceremony uses a small piece of paper to record some significant thought or sentiment associated with a particular departed loved one. We tend to write a poem that the loved one liked, or a drawing of a favorite pet, the name of their favorite song. We sometimes even include a photo of a favorite home. In other words, a little piece of who that person was in life. These papers are then placed inside the corn husk Kwaibai, and then later the object is filled with flowers and incense. The corn husk kwaibai is then carefully placed upon a wooden platform, and that platform is placed inside a container filled with salt water that represents the amniotic fluid in the interior of Atabe's sacred womb, the place where all souls return. We light the corn husk kwaibai on fire and observe it burning as we sing the symbolic song Vasija de Barro, earthenware vessel, which honors the fact that certain portions of the cremated remains of departed loved ones were ritually buried in clay urns by our ancestors. The corn husk kwaibai burns, resting on the wooden platform, floating on the surface of the salt water. It burns just like the old-time funeral pyres of our ancestors, which consumed the remains of their loved ones and spread the essence of their souls into all the corners of the cosmos.
La vida se oculta tras una cortina de año. Vivirá a flor de tiempo, amores y desengaños. Vivirá a flor de tiempo, amores y desengaños.
As I mentioned earlier, our Taino ancestors used to inter some of the cremated remains of their departed loved ones in clay urns. They also interred other portions of the remains in higuera gourds, which were then hung from the ceiling of their dwellings by long cords. In keeping with this tradition, we now grind up the ashes of the corn husk kwaibai burning ceremony and prepare them to be entombed in a clay vessel and in a hanging gourd. Half of the ashes are placed inside an earthenware vessel, a small clay bowl, to represent the clay bowls that our ancestors used to bury part of the remains of a departed loved one. The bowl is placed upon the bottom platform of a wooden memory tablet. The other half of the ashes are then entered into an higuera gourd. The higuera gourd is hung from a hook at the top of the memory tablet. The memory tablet is surrounded with photos of departed loved ones, bowls of food, especially guava fruit or guava nectar, which is the favorite food of the departed ancestors, and flowers. This altar is kept up during several weeks, close to the end of October and the beginning of the month of November. After that, the altar is taken down. This ceremony resembles the ceremony that is observed during the funeral of a loved one who has just crossed over to Kaubai, with the notable exception that the end result of such a crossing over ceremony for one particular person is a small memory tablet that is designed to be permanently hung flat on the wall, such as these dedicated to my mother and father on our family pantheon at our home. This contrasts with the large freestanding memory tablet used for the Day of the Ancestors ritual, which will only stand for a few weeks. The permanent memory tablets dedicated to individual departed loved ones are arrayed on the wall in a group and honored throughout the year, whereas the Day of the Ancestors tablet is put away at the end of the late autumn observance and kept in storage until next autumn.